Welcome to TV360 News Now. I am Olayemi Eson. Nigerian authorities say 2 female suicide bombers are responsible for an early morning attack in Maiduguri Mosque on Wednesday. More than 24 people were killed in the incident and 18 others were injured. The Nigerian army confirmed the attack, which occurred just as Muslim faithfuls were heading to the mosque for their prayers. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but all fingers point to Boko Haram. The sect has carried out similar attacks in that region that has led to the death of thousands. Still on the attack, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the incident. The president issued a statement through his social media account. He expressed his condolence to the families of those who lost loved ones in the attack and asked Nigerians to stay vigilant, especially in crowded places. At least 24 people were killed in the blast and 17 others injured. The blast is the first to be recorded in the Borno State since the last one, which killed about 50 persons at an IDP camp in Dikwa, a town 85 kilometers away from Maiduguri. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai says he is confident that Boko Haram will be eliminated in Nigeria. This comes just as he says troops fighting insurgents in the northeast are doing so with utmost commitment and renewed zeal. Buratai, however, stated that for the country to totally wipe out the terrorists, it required the support of Nigerians. Hours after Nigerian lawmakers rejected a bill to promote gender equality in the country, President of the Nigerian Senate, Bukola Saraki, says all hope may not be lost. Saraki urged Nigerians to remain calm as the gender equality bill will be redrafted and submitted for reconsideration by the Senate. This was contained in a statement signed by the Special Assistant to the Senate President on Gender, Fatima Kakure. The statement, which noted the importance of the bill, also said that Senator Biodun Olujimi, who had introduced the bill, will reintroduce it after the parts deemed unsuitable by the Senate are deleted or redrafted. And still on gender parity, even though the Senate President believes all hope may not be lost in the fight for gender equality, most Nigerians say time is undiming the gender parity struggle. The Wale Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, in collaboration with the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, organized a forum in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. The aim of the event was to encourage gender equality at all levels of the society. TV360 Thelma Okoro has more on the reports.
The debate on gender parity in Nigeria is one we have heard over and over again. Even though women form about half of the Nigerian population and also dominate key positions at all levels of society, they still face discrimination at some point.
By the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And sadly, things are not about to change. A bill which pushed for the elimination of discrimination against women was rejected by the Nigerian Senate and failed to make it to second reading. The bill, sponsored by Senator Biodun Olujimi, amongst other things, was designed to address gender discrimination in political and public life, female economic activity, girls' access to education, and equal rights for women in marriage. With this rejection, it becomes obvious that the fight to promote gender parity has taken a plunge and more work needs to be done.
Whichever approach we are adopting, let's not leave the men out of it.
A group taking the forefront in the gender parity race is the Wale Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. The group, in collaboration with the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, CBAC, organized a forum in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, to discuss the issue of gender parity.
We know we have some in place, but surely we still...
The forum was well attended by people from all walks of life. Former First Lady of Cross River State, Onari Duke, who was a guest speaker at the event, said the time had come for women to take charge.
No one gives you power. No one gives you power. What did I capture? No one gives you power. Within the bands of legality and moral rectitude, you must take it. Eleanor Roosevelt said, nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission. Is that true? Well, how often do some of us women allow other people to make them feel inferior? Additionally, in Nigeria, for the last 8 years and presently, women have held key ministerial positions such as finance, petroleum, as well as chaired major government agencies. These are just a few examples of these exceptional women and more widely known corporations. Nevertheless, we cannot relax on our guards, knowing that we do have the capacity and we are capable and being able to be at par with the men. And these women have shown this by rising up to these levels. We cannot relax on our guards, but we still have a long way to go. In terms of the general world population and the number of countries in the world, these success stories are by far outnumbered by the failures of other companies and indeed governments.
Worldwide, women continue to contribute to social, economic, cultural, and also political achievements despite their challenges. This was showcased at an exhibition at the event.
It is an intellectual organization. It's an intellectual arm of
the pictures on the wall may have shown women who struggled to create a place in history. However, one woman, Nika Davis Okundari, an artisan who specializes in adire, that is tie and dye, gave first-hand account of how she beat the odds to empower herself.
I only finished primary 6. I didn't go to any school more than that. But through this, my adire, while they were selling my work in the US in 1974, so they want to take some teachers from Africa, 53 Africa countries by then. That is how my work was chosen. And they say, it's a woman, she cannot go, women do crafts, and so. Then the American government said, if you are taking 10 from Africa, we insist you have to take a woman. I was doing bricklayer work before I can pay for my school fees. And my school fees is only 15 shillings. But I lost my mother, my father have no money. Then I said, what can I do more than I just want to learn how to read and to write. And I said, I don't want to remain in the village to be carrying firewood. So that is what made me focus on my adire.
Nika Davis Okundari may be one of the few Nigerian women able to carve a niche for herself and go on to be successful despite the odds and the gap in gender parity. However, many other women may not be so fortunate, especially as Nigerian lawmakers have taken a negative stand that would definitely hinder the fight for gender parity. Thelma Okoro, TV360, Lagos.
The 60th session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women was inaugurated earlier in the week at the UN headquarters in New York. Nigeria was represented by a delegation led by the Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Senator Aisha Al-Azan. Speaking on the sidelines of the event, the minister said women and girls have been the most affected in the numerous conflicts that have ravaged some parts of the country. The Commission on the Status of Women is the principal global intergovernmental body exclusively dedicated to the promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women. The Federal High Court in Abuja has thrown out the application filed by Alex Bade, Nigeria former defense chief seeking to stop his corruption trial. Bade is currently facing a 10-count charge for crimes bordering on money laundering and has been granted bail for the sum of 2 billion naira. At the resumed hearing on Wednesday, Counsel to Bade, Samuel Zebiri, told the court that he had filed an application to challenge the jurisdiction of the court and the validity of the charges against his clients. However, the judge in his ruling dismissed the application and asked the prosecution to open its case.
It's a welcome development. That's the application of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. It was properly applied, and you see that all these antics, former antics in our practice, all those things have been taken care of in the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. It's a good development. We appreciate what the court did in upholding the legislation.
In the first place, the application is not ripe for hearing. So there's every justification in keeping that application in view.
A Nigerian group, the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, CDRHR, held a protest Wednesday in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Members of the group, alongside Nigerians from all walks of life, marched through the streets of Ikeja, the Lagos state capital, to the governor's office. The group urged the government to do more to end corruption in the country.
The protest today is in solid support of the anti-corruption war and all that is going on. Indeed, we are saying we even need to see the strategy so that beyond the recovery of our looted fund, we want to know what was recovered, how much that will translate into developmental programs, and then the strategy of ending corruption in the country, which is essentially to deal with the socio-economic conditions that lead to corruption in the first place. If you fix power, create jobs, create utilities and other social amenities, you will reduce corruption. But for as long as you keep running around, you are reacting and you are not proactively dealing with it.
What we have seen is that we cannot see that indication of change. The previous government sold the resources of this country to some few people in the name of privatization. Now we expect a country that wants to return power to the people to recover some of these things that people shared among themselves and return it to the people.
I think Nigerians should be the ones to determine how and when and how corruption should be fought, not the president. If Nigerians are conscious and they are truly aware of what they need to do. And what the political class should do, represented by the president himself, President Buhari, is to take a cue from Nigerians. Otherwise, if you leave these things in the hands of the politicians, it is going to be scuttled at the end of the day, just like you have just rightly said, that if you fight corruption, it fights back. So what do? If corruption, the fight against corruption is rooted in the people, it's embedded in the people, and it is driven by the people, then it will be very difficult for any set of people to manipulate it for their own purposes. And that is the essence. So we want this fight against corruption to take root in the people. Because once that happens, then the politicians will find it very difficult to hijack it.
Still taking news from Lagos State, the Lagos State government has inaugurated a committee to reorganize the state building control agency. Governor Akiwumi Ambode had on Monday sacked top officials of the state building control agency following the collapse of a building in the state which killed about 34 people. The officials were sacked after being found guilty of negligence of their duty. The building was being constructed by Lekki Worldwide Estate Limited. Former head of service in Nigeria has pleaded not guilty to a 2-count charge of fraud and criminal conversion of about 900 million naira. Steve Oronsaye is alleged to have committed the crime while he held sway as chairman of Presidential Committee on Financial Action Task Force. Oronsaye, who was charged along with 2 others, was asked to deposit his travel documents with the count to fully secure his bail.
We've just added the evidence. What is the case that he put money in a fixed deposit instead of putting what you call it, treasury bills? So we don't see what is there. They didn't say he ate the money, but he fixed it instead of buying treasury bills. That it's against the rules, the civil service rules. I am a senior advocate of Nigeria, and you are a journalist. You are aware of the claim, is it claim, what do you call it now? Allegation that we are frustrating trials, that we don't want to do cases. So for me, I believe that if EFCC is not ready to go on, they shouldn't even charge anybody to court. So I asked that they should go on today, and we are ready to go on from day to day to prove his innocence. That's all. Because the society says we are frustrating trials, and the judges are frustrating, lawyers are frustrating. So the judges are ready to work, the lawyers are ready to work. So the ball is in the court of the EFCC or other anti-corruption agencies. Come prepared.
A new report from the World Health Organization, WHO, said an estimated 12.6 million people died as a result of living or working in an unhealthy environment in 2012. This is contained in the report entitled Preventing Disease Through Healthy Environment, a global assessment of the burden of disease from environmental risk, released late on Wednesday in Geneva. WHO's Director General Margaret Chan said that a healthy environment underpins a healthy population. She said improving urban transit and urban planning and building energy-efficient housing will reduce air pollution-related diseases and promote safe physical activities. A funeral for the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, late James Ocholi San, his wife Blessing, and son Joshua has commenced in his hometown in Kogi State. The federal government confirmed the date for the funeral in a statement through its Deputy Director of Press, Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, Samuel Olowokere. The late Ocholi, his wife and son died in a fatal road accident along Kaduna-Abuja Highway on March 6, 2016. FRSC officials say the crash was caused by overspeeding. Investigations also revealed the driver of the vehicle the late minister was traveling in had no license. We'll take a short break. We'll be back.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching the Funny White Man Show, which is the biggest, the brightest, and the most entertaining show in Africa.
Funny white man, funny white man, funny white man. But this way you talk, it's too much. Give me 5,000 man, that's you. It's too much. So you get it like, make you move along the street. Yeah, me should like there, I'm going girl. You know, my own people. Actually, yeah, fine. It's fun. I enjoy it, and I'm one of those very few. I'm forever taking it personal. I will say 160 million Nigerians are corrupt. How? Brother, I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but it's a growth, and this is the time to build business. I know the pitfalls, I know what to do and what not to do. But there are months where you get business and months.
You know how we do, how we train them. We did the way you did.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching Trending Matters on the Funny White Man Show. Of course, we will bring you trending issues just to entertain and tickle your fancy.
Welcome back. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has commenced the distribution of sensitive materials for this weekend rerun elections in Rivers State to the local government areas. Commissioner Aniadi Ikowak said this yesterday. The materials, which include ballot papers and result sheets, the REC said would start arriving in the state as from today. Ikowak also said training of ad hoc staff for the legislative election was still ongoing in the local government areas. The French Minister of Environment, Energy and Marine Affairs, Ségolène Royal, has lauded Nigeria's commitment to the Paris Agreement on climate change. Royal praised Nigeria while speaking with State House correspondent after a courtesy visit to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the presidential villa in Abuja. Vice President Osinbajo restated Nigeria's commitment, desire to remain committed to the principles of the Paris Agreement on climate change, reached at the end of COP21 meeting held in France in December, saying the country would join in signing of the Global Pact in due course. The Minister of State Aviation, Hadi Serikal, has said that the federal government would unveil the new national aviation policy within the next 2 weeks. This is contained in a statement issued on Wednesday in Abuja by the Principal Information Officer, Sunday Iyogo, in the minister's office. According to the statement, Serikal made the disclosure when the delegation from the Department of International Development, Nigeria, led by his deputy head, Nick Hammer, paid him a courtesy visit. Serikal therefore pledged the readiness of the government for continuous support and partnership with the DFID where necessary. Oil prices edged up on Wednesday following an upcoming meeting in Qatar to discuss an output freeze and on expectations of U.S. production declines. But analysts warn that neither the freeze nor the declines point to the end of a global supply glut. U.S. crude futures were trading at about $36.64 per barrel, up to 30 cents from their last settlement, while Brent was up to 11 cents at $38.85 per barrel. A terrorism suspect shot dead in a raid in a Brazil suburb on Tuesday that has been identified as Algerian national Mohamed Behad. He was killed by snipers while trying to fire at police from an apartment window in a suburb of Forest. Prosecutors say an Islamic State flag was found in the apartments raided on Tuesday, along with Salafist, meaning ultra-conservative Islamic literature and Kalashnikov ammunition. The raid was linked to an investigation into the jihadist attack in Paris that killed about 130 people last November. President Barack Obama is to nominate veteran appeal court judge Merrick Garland to the next U.S. Supreme Court justice. House officials say the Supreme Court vacancy follows the death of Justice Antonin Scalia last month at the age of 79. Judge Garland, 63, is the chief judge of the Washington Appeals Court and former prosecutor. The Republican majority in the Senate has said it will block a vote on any Supreme Court nominee from Obama. Colleagues of the former Nigerian international player John Okon, who died on March 15 at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, have expressed shock over a sudden death, saying it was unexpected and shocking. The Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, on March 14 announced the passing away of the ex-international via its official Twitter handle. Ex-international Mutiu Adepoju, who played alongside Okon in the African Cup of Nations AFCON Senegal 1992, described his death as an unfortunate incident. Okon was reported to have died on March 15, his birthday, during a brief illness at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital. And still on sport, World Football Governing Body FIFA has lodged an appeal to the U.S. authority to recover lost funds from corrupt officials. FIFA estimates that at a minimum tens of millions of dollars were diverted from the football community illegally through bribery, kickbacks and corrupt schemes carried out by the defendants. This amount is likely to increase as the investigation continues. The U.S. government has already announced forfeiture amounts that should cover FIFA's claims for damages. And lastly, on sports, the Kenya athletics representative Noah Nganen has resigned over the doping scandal that has stained the country's athletics image. The East African country is facing the possibility of missing this summer Olympics in Rio after it's missing a deadline to prove to the World Anti-Doping agency that it is effectively eradicating doping among its athletes. The deadline was set following revelations by two Kenya's athletes that they paid bribes to the head of the Kenya's Athletes Federation to reduce doping suspensions. And that's TV360 News Now. I am Olayemi Eson. Thank you.